Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Clayton Dembski Show, the Big Clayt podcast, the only podcast in the world that comes out of this apartment. For now, again, we'll see. Who knows? Maybe there's better or different versions or different podcasts in the future, but for now, this is what we've got. Today is May 31st, last day of the month, 2026. It's a little before 9 p.m. here on the beautiful west coast of California. And we've had another wonderful day. What else can you ask for? We are, by we, I mean myself. I am exhausted yet again. I am very excited to go to bed and feeling very fulfilled and grateful. So let's get into it. 6 points on the list today. We'll see where it goes. Maybe some impromptu extras, some bonus content that is not currently on the list. We will see. Maybe I'll just get to bed, but let's dive into it. Number one on the list today, we've got natural high versus synthetic high. And what I mean by that is the feeling of, maybe you would call it elevated consciousness. No, not consciousness, but maybe. But just basically getting high. You can get high on drugs. You can get high on life. You can get runner's high. You could get workout high. You can get high on sugar, high on caffeine. And I've been around the block once or twice. I'm no stranger to a little bit of substance. I'll be the first to say it. If you've ever been to, any fun event with me, maybe there's been something involved. Not anymore, baby. Well, we'll see. But the point is, I experienced this morning what I would consider to be a very, very wonderful natural high. And I was having some thoughts about how that compares to a synthetic high by taking or using or eating something as opposed to doing things and feeling a similar elevation. So I woke up this morning, had a couple beers yesterday, as I mentioned in yesterday's episode, watched the Western Conference Finals with a couple of homies. And we were walking out after the first bar we went to, and I had a couple of pints in me. And it was a nice high, I'll be honest. I was a little intoxicated, feeling a little loose, cracking some jokes with the boys. And it was very fun. And I don't have anything against synthetic high. But this morning, I woke up. I was a little bit hungover, a little bit dehydrated. I did have my trusty homemade Element electrolyte water last night before bed. And this morning, stay on top of my hydration and recover a bit from the booze. But I went for a run, did about 6 miles, did some laps at the Tamalpais High School track. It was beautiful out. It was like mid-high 60s early in the morning, around 8 a.m., maybe even 7:30. No, it was about 8. And it was just gorgeous out, and I did my run. I came back, didn't have any caffeine or anything, so it was all natural, just sunshine and exercise, and I guess what you would call a runner's high. And I then got in my car after I showered and had some breakfast, healthy breakfast, eggs, some black beans, and a little bit of 93.7 lean ground beef, and was driving into San Francisco. And I think that's really when it settled in, I don't know what you would say, but it really kicked in that I was really feeling the effects of the wonderful, healthy, kind of natural morning that I had. And every song I put on, this is how I know I'm riding a natural high or a synthetic high, is when every song you put on sounds incredible. You know, I was listening to some Hot Mulligan, some modern punk rock. I was listening to a little bit of Levity, some modern dance dubstep. What else did I sprinkle in? A little bit of house music by Belak, Belac, I don't know, but he's a great Australian house producer. Bunch of different genres. Usually I stick a little bit more down one lane in terms of genres for a couple songs in a row, and this was just bouncing around on shuffle. No matter what came on, it was like my body was just waiting, or my ears and my mind and my soul were just waiting for that next song to come on, whatever it may be. And I think that's very evident of, a sort of a high in elevation. And so that was one sign. And it was just gorgeous out, driving through the hills of Sausalito, getting into San Francisco. Had some things to do out there today. And it was just gorgeous out. Everything looked brighter, prettier. And if you've had synthetic highs, whether that's, marijuana, mushrooms, ecstasy, LSD, whatever else you might mess around with, to each their own. Everyone's got their choice of fun, if you will. But it felt like a lot of those same things. Again, the music sounds better, the colors look brighter, the wind and the wind coming in the windows, driving around, it feels better on your skin. The food I had for breakfast was literally salted beef with eggs and some black beans, and was just absolutely delicious. So it was just interesting to see kind of the differences and feel that without having any substance in me at the time, which is pretty cool if you ask me, because I think a lot of times people, chase the dragon, if you will. That's like a heroin term. I'm not all into that, but if you do have some cocktails, if you do smoke a joint, if you do something along those lines, there is a nice elevated feeling, but there's also a lot of detriments. And, it could be dopamine, serotonin, it could be energy levels, all the things I've been talking about in the last few episodes that I've experienced positive change in while not smoking any marijuana. It's also hilarious calling it marijuana, but feels better on a podcast instead of being like, I'm not smoking weed, bro. I don't know. Sounds more scientific, pretending to be smart here. But it was really nice, really pleasant. And the best part is that you can get all of those feelings still without any bad side effects. And in fact, quite the opposite. You get very positive side effects, right? I wake up, I run, I get sunshine, I'm charged up, better energy levels. I'm going to sleep better when the sun goes down, get a little bit of that circadian rhythm, kind of natural sleep cycle. So it's just a really beautiful moment. I think I also personally experience that sort of natural high being around friends, being around family, filling all the different cups in my life, if you will, social cup, community cup, family, exercise, health, wellness, creativity, expression, all those different things. So just some thoughts there, but it was really nice, very pleasant, and very repeatable, which is cool. And I think part of that also is that you have to work for it. About mile 2 or 3, in between 2 and 3 on the run, I felt like I had been going for a lot longer. And when I checked my phone, it was only between 2 and 3 miles. I was like, I got a ways to go to get to 6. But then by mile 4, 4.5, it's like, I'm actually getting there. I'm pretty close to wrapping up here. And it just felt so good, and pushing through and just being patient and just chugging along. I was running on a track today, so it was pretty mindless. Had a little bit of Pearl Jam going, little even flow, because another gentleman on the track was wearing a Pearl Jam shirt, and I was like, I should listen to a little Pearl Jam, maybe a little Creed while I'm out here. Which, fitting. Can you take me higher? Pff, absolutely. So that was really nice, and I'm going to be hunting for more of that because it's addicting, as is any high, whether it's natural or synthetic. So it feels good to be focused on a nice natural version of that and feeling all those nice benefits without any of the negative side effects. So that's point number 1. Natural high, synthetic high, hey, to each their own. But for me personally, it's always going to lead to better things if I'm hunting that natural high. So there we go. Point number 1, done. We're getting through this, baby. Number 2, back to kind of I think it was the first episode, the Memorial Day podcast, when I talked about DIY projects, but I had a long day, but in the mid-afternoon, when I got home from picking up my brother and his wife from the airport, we had a nice lunch. I grabbed this headlight restoration kit that had raving reviews online to go buff out the headlights on my car because they're very oxidized and yellow. The car was in Texas before, so hot sun beating down all year round, and they needed some work. So I did a DIY project. You could take it to a shop, probably pay $100, $200, get that buffed out, but for $17 online and a little bit of elbow grease and some effort, I was able to do that myself and felt really good. Again, I think work is good. Obviously, that's not a corporate job or something like that, but it is work. And I'm out there in the sun, sweating, taping off the headlights in my car, scrubbing them down, going through all the what the kit has you do. You got to sand, you got to polish, all these different things. But it took like maybe 40 minutes or an hour, but just really felt good. I'm glad I did it. It's also very cost efficient, which is nice. And also you learn something. You learn that you can take matters into your own hands and just do what you got to do. So another DIY project that felt really good, and I feel fulfilled for doing it. And it's also kind of making my truck my own since I bought it used off Craigslist. I vacuumed it, not today, but since I've bought it, I've vacuumed it, washed the outside by hand a number of times. I've done a trim coat restoration on the black trim of the truck. I've done now the headlight kit restoration, all these different things that really kind of make it my own and just feels good to do myself. And I think of guys who tinker with cars or fix their own spark plugs that's the other thing. I changed the engine filter. I changed the air intake filter, the cabin air filter. So all these different things that I've done that make nice improvements to the car, help it last longer, take better care of it, and I get to learn about maintaining a car in the process. So all that's really good and felt good to do today and fulfilling. And also not that hard. It's pretty easy. Watch a couple YouTube videos, figure out how to do it, go execute. Really good for the soul. And I feel like that's what being an American is, It's, I think of like a KitchenAid stand mixer. That's an American product that, especially back in the day, you buy one for life. You have it for 40 years. You fix it if something breaks. You get a new washer here, a new screw there, whatever you got to do to maintain and keep a product as opposed to just tossing it out, getting a new one. So it always feels good to restore and improve things as opposed to replacing them, at least for me. Point number 3, Parrilla, San Francisco. I think I talked about this the other day, but I went, because my mom needed some food when I picked her up from the airport last week. So we went to Parrilla. I went back today with my brother and my sister-in-law, and I ate light. I had some spring rolls with shrimp, but my brother got a beef garlic noodle plate with crispy imperial rolls, as they call them. My sister-in-law got a bowl of beef pho, had a little bites of theirs to try it. Try it as if I haven't had it a ton of times before, but just to try it today. And then I had my spring rolls, and that place is just so good. It's the nicest staff, reasonably priced, absolutely delicious, and fairly unique. There's a lot of Vietnamese places, but Parrilla, and again, the one on Irving is the one I go to, just south of Golden Gate Park. But it is just so good, and I want to give them more and more business. I wish they had a Marin location because I'd be there often, and I would donate to them without even getting a plate if I guess I could, but that'd be kind of weird. But that's how good it is. I love it. I'd pay double the price. Whatever. I'm just trying to explain how much I love it and how much I appreciate a good, honest business that makes a great product, great food, great service. It's a friendly environment in there. And it's always pretty busy, so I'm glad they're getting business. But shout out to Parrilla on Irving Street in San Francisco. Just unbelievable food. Absolutely love it. Point number 4. I wrote dieting and eating healthier, and the theme around that of staying a little bit hungry. And that's something I have had to get comfortable with as I continue to work on my health, my fitness, losing weight, trimming down to a nice healthy weight, and getting my body to look the way I want it to. And at the beginning, it's difficult because, and I'm not saying to go around being starving all day, but just keeping a little bit hungry, not eating meals to the point where I'm stuffed, not eating so often that I'm, eating before I'm hungry. It's almost like all day. I just want to keep just a little bit of hunger. And that helps me, when I feel that, just a little bit of hunger in me, it's always a reminder, all right, have some water, go do a task, see if you're actually hungry or if you're just bored and eating or eating for another reason, whether that's boredom or something else. And then I was thinking, is there maybe a metaphor in that, staying a little bit hungry? And I mean, you should always be hungry. You don't want to get complacent. But I thought about how when you do, say you eat a huge meal and then you get dessert after, and then instead of walking after the meal, you just, park it on the couch, watch some TV or something like that. That is not staying hungry, right? That's getting stuffed. Pause, getting stuffed. Anyway. But that's not the way to do it in my book. Every now and again, you got to be a glutton. I get it. You go on vacation, you go to Hawaii, I'll eat till I'm sick for 6 days in a row. But yeah, staying a little bit hungry. I wrote down, don't oversaturate things. Advice to myself: don't oversaturate with easy things or quick hitters or some of those kind of quick dopamine fills that I've been talking about in some of these recent episodes. Stay a little hungry. Let yourself have a little bit of room to suffer, to avoid complacency. And suffer is kind of the wrong word, but really what I mean is just keeping the pedal to the metal and keeping the eyes on the end goal and continuing to put yourself in positions to reach that while persevering past any complacency. Not a super clear thought process there, and it's not really a direct metaphor, but just some thoughts I had there. And that's what we do this for, baby. We get on here and we talk, we chit chat. And by we, I mean me, speaking into this lovely iPhone 10. And stay hungry, baby. Stay hungry. Don't overeat. Don't overeat in all things of your life, right? All aspects of your life. Don't overeat food. Don't overeat or overconsume, media or content or bullshit or news. God, the news cycle these days is just heinous. Stay away from that. But yeah, stay a little hungry. I think it's good for you. I think a little bit of discomfort is okay. And it's a good reminder that there's always more to do. And there's always somewhere to keep going and keep the pedal to the metal. So that's point number 4. Stay a little hungry. Point number 5, picking up people from the airport. This is huge in my family. There's an airporter bus. It's like $30, takes you from San Francisco International to a number of spots in Marin County where I reside. It's fine. It is what it is. When I lived in New York, I took the air train, usually then to the E or the B or F. I can't remember which train, but that's fine. New York City's a different breed of cat because the roads are absolutely slammed, and oftentimes it's going to be quicker and probably more comfortable instead of stop and go traffic and kind of getting car sick the whole time. And you'll probably get there quicker anyway if you take the train. But if you're somewhere like San Francisco, where I guess there's BART, but there's nothing that goes into Marin other than the airporter bus, and the bus sucks. And I don't want to be on the bus. I want to be in a car with a friend or a family member or somebody I love, slapping tunes, bumping dubstep, eating up that bass. And I like that. I don't want to be on the bus with a bunch of strangers paying $30 to... It's also a silent bus, so not that I want to be yapping, but it's just dead quiet because that's just how they roll. You're not allowed to talk on it. You could chat, but you can't take a phone call. You can't really do anything. It's a quiet bus. That's the rule. So power to them. It's great that it exists. When I don't have someone available to pick me up or take me to the airport, I am very grateful that the airporter exists. But I guess the point of this number 5 on the list is I don't like being on the bus. I want someone to pick me up, so I pay it forward. I went and picked up my brother and sister-in-law today. They comped me for some gas and some toll, but it's really the time. And I do the same, right? If somebody gets me, I'm like, take my car, use my toll tag, or I'll just pay you for the gas and toll, whatever. It's not about the money. It's really about the time and the effort and the love that is shared amongst me and my family or me and my friends. I think it's just a good way to connect and show somebody you love them. Kind of like helping someone move. Moving is different because you might throw your back out. If you can afford it, you should hire movers. And if someone asks you for help, I'm willing to help move, but really I'm like, can I just throw you $100 for the movers instead? That's a different thing. But a bus ride to the airport versus a car ride back with your homie or your family member, bumping some tunes, having a good time, catching up, right? Decompressing from the trip that you were just on. Excuse me. Sharing how it went, sharing some experiences, and just settling back in home, or getting excited and talking about your upcoming trip on the way to the airport, right? It goes both ways, and I think it's just a beautiful way to connect and also show someone in your life that you love and care about them. And again, I would want that experience for me, and so I then do it for others because I think that's reasonable, and it's a good way to show them, hey, I'm willing to do it for you. Are you willing to do it for me? Yes, great. That's a nice partnership. That's building community right there. Even if that community is just within the family, it's meaningful and it's nice. So if you're able to, hop in the car, take someone to the airport, pick someone up from the airport, bring them home, make them comfortable, bring them a snack, bring them a cookie, stop somewhere on the way home, sit down, have a meal, whatever it looks like. I think it's a really good thing. Point number 6, I wrote weed dominoes. And what I mean by that is, when you line up dominoes, or you line up, I guess dominoes is a good one, or like little blocks as they get bigger. You tip one little brick and it knocks a bigger one, bigger one, bigger one, bigger one. All the dominoes fall, when you just knock over one. That's kind of how I feel about not smoking any weed the last 2 weeks. And that's how I feel about when I am smoking weed. And what I mean by that is that the dominoes of poor choices start to fall right away. So if I decide, hey, 2 weeks was enough, tomorrow I'm going to, order a eighth of weed, smoke a joint, hang out. It sounds good on paper, and maybe it's just a control and discipline thing for me, because a lot of people can control it. I'm not really one of those people. I will, whatever. Quitting, right? Get back on the sauce, as we call it sometimes. Smoke a joint. Great, whatever. I just did it. Yeah, I've been off for 2 weeks, but I'll do one. And then chances are it's going to be less than 2 weeks before I do it again. So maybe it's 10 days, but then I do it again. And then maybe it's 6 days. And then maybe it's 4 days, 3 days, 1 day, couple hours. Then, a couple times a day I'm smoking a joint, maybe skipping a workout, eating, the discipline goes right out the window. Maybe on the thought of Domino's, maybe I order a Domino's pizza and I'm like, I'm never going to eat that shit sober. But if I get a joint and I'm sitting alone at home, it's like, yeah, sure. What's another pizza? I'll work it off tomorrow. I'll do an extra run. It's like, that's not how it works at all. You're never going to outrun a poor diet. That's a common trope in the fitness and health world. So it just got me thinking of like what that looks like in my life, and where are some areas that are like kind of the quickest to go if I do kind of stray off the path. And if you want to use more religious terms, it's basically what happens if I start sinning. If I stray from God, if I start sinning, what happens from there? Is it better for me? Is there ever an opportunity to like just sin, get it out of the system? I don't think that's how it works. It's kind of like discipline. You don't just like choose to be disciplined one day. You start being disciplined, you try something, you be disciplined for a day, but that doesn't just show up again tomorrow. You have to actively choose and be more disciplined. And the more you do it, the more it becomes your standard, the more it becomes a habit and just who you are. And before you know it, you're a very disciplined person, and people look at you and go, oh, he's so disciplined. He has discipline. It's like, no, he doesn't have shit. It's another human just like you, but he actively chooses every single day to build that discipline and to avoid the sin and to choose connection with God and connection with, the universe, as opposed to sinning and going down those other negative paths. So, I wrote that weed creeps me myself. Weed creeps me into a more sinful lifestyle. It's usually the first domino to fall, where then I'm not eating well. I'm overindulging. I'm what do they call it? Sloth, right? I think that's one of the like venial sins, or venial sins. I think so. Not a mortal sin. Venial sin, sloth, greed, lust, all those things. It's like start smoking a joint and it feels harmless, and before you know it, I'm steps down the road going, what have I done? Like, this isn't who I want to be. This isn't what I want to be doing with myself. These aren't the choices that are the best for me. And yet here I am making them because I knocked over that first domino. And on the flip side, I wrote that without weed, everything else seems to fall into place, and my urges to sin elsewhere feel resolved. And I think it's interesting when you think about, I guess, like, we live in this modern world that's a mix of kind of religious background, or like people still have religion, but then at the same time, it's very secular. It's very like kind of matter of fact, human based. And what I mean by that is like, I think of like the soul and the religious side of things, and then like the actual meat suit, the human side of us, like physically being here on earth. And those two get mixed up a lot more in this modern society. Whereas I feel like in antiquity, I could be wrong, I wasn't there 1,000 years ago, 500 years ago, whatever. But it seems like we're getting more and more away from kind of that like religious side of things. And it doesn't have to be religion, but it's a lot of the same concepts where sin leads to more sin, whereas connection with God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, if you're not religious, that goodness leads to more goodness, right? You can spiral up or you can spiral down. And I've done both in my life. And 10 times out of 10, I prefer the spiral upward, but it's harder. It's difficult at the beginning. And it is hard to stay on the wagon for a lot of things, especially, folks who struggle with different addictions. I get it. I hear you. We're human. That's why so many people have some sort of vice that they indulge in. Mine's always been weed and then food and kind of back and forth, which I'm grateful for that it's nothing more serious for me. But at the same time, those do feel serious to me because if I start smoking weed, I start eating unhealthy, I start missing workouts, then I feel bad about myself. I don't want to go be around people. I don't feel like a light in the world. I feel darkness inside of me. I feel like I'm not presenting myself. It's almost like embarrassed, It's like, hey, if I've been stowed away in my apartment, smoking joints and eating Domino's pizza for 2 weeks, all of a sudden I'm fatter, my energy levels are down. I've been consuming news. I've been going on social media, looking at all this crap that is basically eating junk food and smoking weed, but in my mind, as opposed to my physical body. Then it's like I don't want to go see people. I don't have energy for it. I'm impatient. I'm snappy with people or shitty in my the way I represent myself and my decorum and my demeanor and all these things. And that's just not where I want to be. And it's very interesting seeing the stark differences in just 2 weeks of not smoking weed, sleeping well, eating healthy, spending a ton of time with my family, spending more time than I have recently with friends. It's just like this snowball that goes and goes and goes, and it's such a beautiful thing. And on the flip side, it's just a couple choices that could make me snowball in the other direction and snowball downward and pull away from God, pull away from my family, pull away from my friends and social life and expression and creativity and all the things I'm doing. So I'm proud of myself. At the same time, it's like, hey, 2 weeks is nothing. I need to do this for my life. I need to compound these habits until it's just who I am, and to even think of knocking a domino down that's going to take me in a negative snowball route, to even think of that should kind of gross me out and be so unappealing. Sugar is another one where my mom, for example, loves sugar, and it's hard for her to get to. I think they say like 2 weeks without sugar and you break the habit. And then if you don't have sugar for 2 weeks, then the cravings go away and it's much easier to stick with it. And that's another one for me where if I'm smoking weed, I'm eating dessert. I'm, getting a candy bar at the store, having the ice cream. I went out today. One of my sisters, both my sisters were there, my mom and my nephew, and we're hanging out after dinner. And my mom and my oldest sister went and got an ice cream, and I'm sober. I'm not high. I'm not needing to indulge just for some quick dopamine. So I go, no, I don't want any ice cream. Then my oldest sister comes back after her ice cream with a slice of princess cake from the market we were at. And I said no to that as well. And it's just so much easier. And it's just a good example of like, literally because I chose 2 weeks ago to not smoke weed. Granted, I ran out of weed. I smoked all of my weed. That's why I was out. And I figured, hey, might as well quit. Doesn't matter how you get there. It matters that you get there. But 2 weeks ago, decided I'm not going to get more weed. I'm not going to keep doing this to myself. And the dominoes have fallen all the way till today, 2 weeks later, where I'm going, no, I'm not going to get an ice cream. I'm not going to have a bite. I'm not even going to have a bite. I'm not even going to taste the princess cake. I'm not even going to tempt myself, and I can feel the devil on my shoulder go, dude, just have one bite. Just one bite. Just have a little bit. And that's another domino waiting to fall. Which I guess on kind of the idea of religion, if you personify what you might consider as sin in your life, if you personify that, I like to literally think of it as the devil, which has a connotation, but the point is like the devil tempts you to sin, whereas God tempts you to be pure, right? He offers you all of the wonderful things in life if you, submit yourself to his light and love and live in accordance with his will. And on the other side, if you submit to the devil and live in accordance with the devil's will, then you get all of that, which is quick dopamine hits, which is, trading today or trading tomorrow for today, right? Where, hey, I'll just have the ice cream today. I'll figure it out tomorrow. Doesn't matter. When in reality, you're giving up tomorrow and you're giving up the future for a quick hit today. So I forgot where I was going with that. But the point is, the personification. When I'll look at the cake and think the devil is saying, eat the cake. And when there's that personification, it's much easier, especially if you think of literally a little devil standing on the cake going, come eat me, have a bite. You're like, dude, no, not a chance. And then if on the other shoulder is the angel or God or the universe or whatever good connected positivity you're countering it with, if that's going, Clayton, the cake would be delicious. Of course it would. We're not going to sit here and tell you it isn't. But if you have the cake today, you're no longer in line with what you said you wanted for yourself. And what you said you wanted for yourself is to be healthy, to be fit, to have good energy levels, to sleep well, all those things I've been talking about. And I think of it literally as God. I kind of think of the God from Family Guy, honestly. It's just like a nice old man with a beard who like has wings or sits in the clouds or something. And he's like, hey, just tough it out for another day, right? Just don't do it right now. Next time the cake shows up, we'll have this conversation again and you can choose again. But for right now, just come with me. I'll take care of you tonight and just leave the devil one more time. And that helps me, honestly, because it's so ridiculous to think of having those two options where someone literally tells you, don't worry about tomorrow. You can work out tomorrow. Just eat the cake and be a fat fuck today. And it's literally this gross, poor physiognomy, yucky looking red devil. And then you have the nice, like, calming presence of God on the other side going, dude, just make the right choice today and we'll figure out how we're going to make the right choice in the future. It doesn't even matter. All we're doing is just making the right choice right now. And that helps me a good bit. I didn't eat the cake. I didn't eat the ice cream. I brought some cookies into the city with me to watch the game last night, brought the cookies to my friends. When they broke them open at the second bar we were at, they were like, Clayton, have some. I was like, I don't want the cookies. I'm good. I'm okay. I'm going to go with God today. I'm not going to dance with the devil. And I know it's crazy to think eating a bite of princess cake is dancing with the devil, but it's the first domino. And if the first one falls and the second and the third and the fourth, you can kind of think of it as like exponential or, 2 to the second power versus 2 to the 8th power is a drastically different number, and 2 to the 8th power is way larger. And that's that compounding interest, if you're a finance guy, whatever. If you make the right choices now, it's easier to make the right choices later. And same with bad choices. If you cave in now, it's going to be a lot easier and more built into you to cave in later. And I think it's important to resist and to make the right choices and just take it one step at a time and, lay a brick every day. And that kind of also gets into like the 1% better each day, that trope within sports where it's like, hey, we're not going to win the championship on day one, but if we get 1% better each day, we're going to be in the best position to win the championship at the end of the long season, which is exponential growth. Which is exactly compounding interest. Literally 1% better each day over 100 days is a whole lot better than 10% better one day and then being constant for a while or inconsistency. So again, a ramble. There's a lot there, and my mind goes to so many different things I could talk about. But the point is, don't let the weed domino fall. Whatever your weed domino is, hold it up. See what happens if you lay that one brick, and see if you can build a house one brick at a time by just making small, good decisions consistently. I think bonus point number 7, not written down here, but just a great weekend overall. Today's Sunday night, so it's the end of the weekend. So fulfilling. Again, didn't sell all the cream cheese and butter that I talked about yesterday, but I did make my money back. I did try something new, step out of my comfort zone. My family was proud of me for doing it. I ran into one of our very close family friends while we were at the market where my mom and sister and where we were hanging out, and they got the ice creams and the princess cake. We're hanging out, and one of our good family friends drives through in the parking lot and says hello to us. I happen to have my cooler full of butter and cream cheese with the leftovers in my truck at the time. And I saw him and I was like, oh, Kevin, hold up, brother. Let me hook you up with some butter and some cream cheese. It was just like the perfect storm. You know, we were all hanging out. It was beautiful out, high 70 degrees into golden hour. Watching my nephew run around with my younger of my two sisters, while my mom and my oldest sister and I are all just chatting. And then our friend drives by. I get to go bring him some of my leftover product. He was on his way to his family's house to have steak for dinner. And I'm like, dude, get some garlic butter on there. Garlic bread. He's like texting me a little later, hey, we ended up making garlic bread with ciabatta rolls. And what more could you ask for? You know, would it be great to be Jeff Bezos on a yacht with some third wife and, you know, a bunch of staff members who just bow down to you? Actually, no. That would be fucking weird, and that's not the human experience to me. Shout out Jeff, honestly, because Amazon is so convenient, and I know they fuck small businesses, but whatever, it's really nice. But the point is, and that was just an aside, but the point is, life to me is not about money or corporate success or all these weird twisted American values that society basically prints in the news and tells everyone is important. And the reason they're doing that, in my opinion, is because they're all making money off of it, right? That's like the whole thing. And I find a lot of fulfillment, not in resisting that. I think it's good to do something you love and make money and blah, blah, blah. But selling your soul for money is never going to be the right answer, in my opinion. I'm not rich right now on, financially, but internally, spiritually, community-wise, emotionally, mentally, I feel filthy rich. I got to spend my whole weekend with friends and family and projects and expression and creativity and health and fitness, and all of these things that really feel like they actually matter, where if I had all the money in the world or no money at all, it wouldn't matter if I had those things, which of course is cliche. And that's like what everyone says, the rich man dies and goes, oh, I wish instead of being the CEO all these years, I wish I spent more time with my kids. I wish I spent more time with my family. I think of Ferris Bueller when he's like, when you're in the good days or whatever, stop and take a look around or you might miss it. Whatever. I butchered the saying, but you know what I mean? And these feel like the good days. It's really beautiful. It's very fulfilling. It feels warm. It feels comfortable. It feels, and not comfortable in like you're complacent way, but like comfortable and like, I love these people. I love spending time in my community. I love getting outside. I love going for a hike. I'm very comfortable doing all those things. And a lot of it's difficult, right? Doing projects, trying to sell butter and cream cheese. Like there's difficulty in that. There's difficulty in workouts. There's difficulty in resisting the princess cake and choosing to eat beef and beans and scrambled eggs instead. But it's beautiful. And at the end of the day, I make those good decisions. I agree. I go with God instead of the devil. And before you know it, your new baseline is that every day is wonderful, is that the colors look brighter every day, the food tastes better, the music sounds better, the relationships with the people I actually care about in my life are better. And it's just good. Feels good to build momentum. Very grateful for all the people in my life. Very grateful for the balance between work, relaxation, creativity, expression, all the different things, all the different cups that I fill. And so, just feel good. Gonna keep it rolling. That's why I'm doing these podcasts, because it holds me accountable. It makes me reflect on these things, think about them. And also maybe one day people will be interested in hearing what some random 27-year-old guy from Marin County thinks. Maybe not. That's not the point of it. The point is that it's good for me to reflect, and it also helps keep things in perspective. Yesterday, I mentioned having a little bit of difficulty having to, when my friend had to sit me down and say, hey, you're acting a fool right now, and I want you to be at your best. So you need to toughen up and deal with this and improve your behavior. And so it's not all rainbows and butterflies, but at the end of the day, throughout the day there might be a little high and low, but when I look at each day, if I were to do, maybe I should start doing this. If I were to track each day with like I've seen it in some kind of like self-improvement strategies of like track each, or like if you're depressed or if you're feeling unfulfilled, or all the different things, anxious, all the things people deal with these days and forever, just as humans. But if you grade each day with either like red, this was a bad day, yellow, this day was fine, or green, this day was great or good or whatever, every day would be green for me. And I'll start tracking it. Maybe I should spin that up so I can really get a visual on it. But every day for the last 2 weeks, and for most of my life before that, but last 2 weeks, there's been highs and lows, but every day would be a green day, and shouts out Green Day, rock on, love Green Day. Great music, but truly they would all be green days. Like every day feels awesome, even when things are hard, even when I'm challenged, even when I am faced with obstacles or setbacks, and just chugging along, doing the right things, being grateful, feeling connected with God and the universe and my family, my community, my projects, my creativity, my expression. All of those things ultimately lead to every day feeling awesome. And maybe it's just a perspective shift where I'm looking at the positive instead of the negative, but even if that's what it is, that's awesome. That means the way I interface with the world and the way I experience life is that, yeah, most things are pretty incredible. And just having that gratitude and appreciation for everything that I'm able to experience is pretty incredible. And again, we're going to keep the momentum building, keep it rolling, keep the snowball moving upward. Somehow the snowball is rolling up the mountain, which is awesome. Shout out Sisyphus. The ball's rolling itself. I don't even have to get under it. It's just going. And I'm riding along next to it. So we'll wrap it up there. Fun day planned tomorrow. Going to do a park barbecue with the family. Watch my nephew run around and cook a whole chicken in my Weber grill. So maybe there'll be some videos in tomorrow's episode or some little snippets. We'll see. Maybe not. Maybe just my ugly mug talking all day. But we're fired up for tomorrow, and we're going to get after it. So be well, be good, love yourselves, love each other, be great, honor God, and do something you love. And do something good for somebody that you love. With that, good night from Mill Valley, California, 9:34 p.m. West Coast Pacific Time. Godspeed, warriors. Until next time.